let's measure in real time with GDP. So what is
Okay.
GDP, right? Gross
Hmm.
domestic product. And in its simplest form, it's what's the transformation? What is the value that is created by a business, by an employee? And there's a lot of talk about layoffs right now. Well, the only
Hmm.
reason why that happens is because there's not enough GDP being driven, being
Mm.
created. I think it's brilliant that we start to look at how God has gifted us. And I make fun of this, like if you put me in front of a detailed application that that needs to be filled out, something's going to be missing. Like it's in my mind doesn't work that I can't slow down enough to take care of those little details. There are some people that are administrators, somebody who might be a an office manager or something, somebody like that. Guess what? A business needs somebody like that to be able to keep the business going. But does that person have the ability to be a business owner? Well, there's other ways that they can create that ownership. What if they were part owner of a company, right? What if their effort was rewarded in some kind of equity in the company? I mean, maybe even a partnership in the company because of their ability to transform. You know what? I heard something really crazy. We are literally in the era of people going to job interviews and having 9 interviews within the same company for the same job. Man, as a former HR guy, I'm going to tell you, I don't know. That just doesn't make sense to me. The math doesn't make sense. So they're either collecting data or maybe training some of the new, the new managers on how to, have interviews. But what does that do to the individual who's trying to look for a job? So we're talking about layoffs and people getting retrained and maybe, underemployed. And so when we're talking about the GDP, you the only way that you can control the growth is by creating companies, right? So you
Mm.
create a company that brings value to the marketplace. It solves a big problem, and you can see that the growth in the company. That's why small businesses are the rock stars of America. They're the ones that had a dream of having an impact, but the challenges they might have is access to capital so that they can grow more, right? They might have the challenges of the workplace, what's happening right now, where they can't find the employees that we used to be able to to have. It's harder to find employees, it's harder to retain them, it's harder to work with. We're now probably working with 4 different generations in the workforce. There's still some baby boomers. There's the best generation in the world, the Gen X. I'll wait for the pause. No. Then you have the millennials. And then, think about this. The 16, 17-year-olds, that generation is Generation
Z.
Z, exactly,
I think it's
right?
Z.
So now you have a Generation Z employee who was raised with a device in their hands, and all they know is technology, and they got to talk to the baby boomer like in the same workplace. Think about how that's changing the dynamics in the workplace.
So when it comes to basically being in control of your own GDP as an employee, a taxpayer, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of risk involved in depending on other companies with their own agendas, their own goals. And like you said, 9 interviews. I've heard these stories of people just being run around for months and months on end and then being ghosted
Mhm.
after 6, 7 interviews. They'll hear nothing. And they're rightfully furious. And so I think what our listeners need to take away from this is that a level 3 financial thinker learns how to create their own economy, how to create value that cannot be replaced by another employee, either by creating their own company or their own nonprofit and generating, donations and funding that way, or their own ministry, or, and you mentioned this earlier, private equity. The idea of, I don't, maybe I don't have an idea or a calling to start a business, but I know a whole bunch of people who do. And so I'm going to become a partner, an equity shareholder, something like that, and be the fuel that gets the rocket off the launch pad.
Yeah, and I think that really summarizes it really well. Is owning our own GDP, and no one really talks about that. And if you really think about it, you go to a corporate job, you don't know if you're going to be on that list. And so what do you do? Well, let's talk about crisis management just a little bit to kind of, finish it off is that if you control it and if you have some say in what happens with, with your job or your ability to earn an income and create GDP, well, you're sort of going to control the narrative a little bit, and be able to create that and maintain that positive cash flow position for your family. Again, knowing that you're going to have that peace of mind, you're going to have the ability to thrive, your health is going to be better, your relationships are going to be better, and you're going to be able to move forward, knowing that you have some really, really unique God-given abilities to change the world by providing solutions to some really, really huge problems in the world right now. And just taking some of the information that we just talked about. I mean, if you were able, to somehow impact someone who was in the job market and help them either to move into a different industry or maybe network better, more efficiently, because there's positive and negative aspects of networking. It unfortunately when there's a job that's already given to someone because they know someone, there's nothing you can do. There's no networking or interviewing, processes that's going to get you that job. Unfortunately, that happens and everybody knows it, right? But so what do? Well, you start to look at your abilities. You start to look at how God has wired you and what you can do to advance that, either through some kind of, developing your and increasing your ability to be in the marketplace and control that GDP, or if you are in a position where maybe you're level two and you want your dollars to start to have babies, maybe investing into a company that causes the curiosity, your the way that you look at that company with the vision and the goals that matter to you, and that company is going to solve a problem in the world that you have a value and that you see that you would like to get behind that company, then you can, invest in that company and help it grow, and therefore you're doing your part in increasing that GDP. So, there's so much that we can really, go into this, but I think that it's awareness and knowing the numbers, going into those numbers that we talked about, and then just knowing where you are and where you need to move to next.